12-game, 12-day trip. Let's bring on Sean Deveney from Athlon Sports and Heavy.com. He knows all NBA, and he's going to break it down for us here on the Sam Berkman Show, 1310 WDPN. Sean, good afternoon. How you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing well. How are you, Sam?
I'm good, man. Good to have you. It's been a little while. Good to hook up with you again. Wanted to have you on today. I thought about reaching out to you last week to just to talk trade deadline, and then boom, Cavaliers make a move with the Kings, and now there's a lot of stuff brewing. How active do you think how much more active do you think the Cavaliers will be between now and Thursday at 3 p.m., if at all?
Well, yeah, no question that they're going to look to do something with Lonzo if they can. Easier said than done. His contract's not terrible. He's got $10 million this year and then $10 million next year, but that's a team option. So it's an expiring contract, and teams will get on board with that. But there's just not a lot of cap space out there. You'd like to do basically a salary dump where you're just getting rid of that money, and you can kind of move on. But there's not a whole lot out there, teams that can sort of park that money as the Cavs would like them to do. But no question that moving on from Lonzo is job one. Like I say, easier said than done. And the Giannis stuff is out there. They've certainly got the players to get something done there, assuming Milwaukee wants players back. And not just draft picks, and that does seem to be very much on the table for Milwaukee. So that's sort of the home run swing. Whereas just getting rid of Lonzo would certainly be a win for them as well.
Sean, other than Lonzo, I mean, is there a couple of other pieces at the end of the bench or at a contract or two that they could also get rid of? And how close would that be to getting them under that second apron, or would it get them there altogether?
It'll be tough. Like I say, it's going to be tough enough just to get rid of the $10 million. A team like the Nets has the cap space, but you know what? Everybody is looking to the Nets now to absorb some of that cap space and go ahead and help them out. If the Cavaliers can't include first round picks to do that, then the Nets have no incentive to do that. So I don't think there's really going to be anything that the Nets can do to get themselves under. That the Cavs can do to get themselves under that. I think they have to go another $14 million. To get under there, and Lonzo is 10. Can they get rid of another 4 with that? You're going to have to include a first-round pick. I don't think they want to do that. So I think it's right now trying to shave as much as they can off what their tax bill will be, and then try to be able to reset in the offseason.
Percentage 1 to 100, the percentage that the Cavaliers would be able to swing a deal and get Giannis into a Cavalier uniform. What would you put that at?
So the Warriors will have a pretty good package. The Nets have been talked about. That would be a surprise, but certainly, when you're talking about Giannis, you kind of throw out everything and just say, okay, who's in the best position? The Knicks have, basically Karl Anthony Towns, and it's a matter of trying to convince the Bucks to take back Towns. That's not easy either. The Miami Heat have some intriguing young players, but they can't really put together that great of a package in terms of guys who can help them win right now. So, the Cavaliers, if you look at what they can offer, if Evan Mobley's in the deal, I don't think there's anybody else out there who's going to give them a better young player than that. So, however else you want to build the rest of the deal, whether it's a Darius Garland deal or if it's, some other pieces, no matter how you build the rest of the deal, I don't think the Bucks are going to do better than bringing in Evan Mobley if that's the package that they're able to put together. So, yeah, I think it's really, if you want to put a percentage, considering all the other teams that could be involved, probably about 20, but that's still not bad considering, like I said, there's going to be a lot of other teams in this pursuit.
Yeah, I'll take that right now. Sean Deveney is our guest. You can check him out at heavy.com, but also does a great job writing for Athlon Sports. You can check him out on all your social media platforms. I don't know if you heard I was bringing you in, there's the 3-team package I saw on, I think it was ESPN or Yahoo today. The Cavaliers would get Giannis and Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Bucks would get Lonzo Ball, Evan Mobley, Jalen Tyson, and a 2031 first-round pick from the Cavs Brooklyn would then get Max Strus and then a 2030 and a 2032 swap with the Cavaliers. I mean, I think I would do that. I think
I
I would do
would.
that.
I think if you're the Bucks, and you're not getting that much back in terms of draft capital, you're probably going to ask for Garland as well, and they'd probably hold out for that. Is somehow obviously you'd have to change the deal around a little bit, but I think that would be something that they would ask for, and see how far they can take that, whether the Cavaliers would go for that. So I think that would probably be where Milwaukee would go. But if I'm the Cavs, I'd absolutely do that. I think they're in a situation where they've got to look at what they've got and realize that the time's now. They're playing better. They've sorted some things out. They're getting healthier. But if you really want to try to win, the East is there for the taking. And I think if you can get Giannis, then that's what they've got to try to do.
Holy cow! I can't even imagine. I know the way Dan Gilbert and Kobe Altman think, and they'll stay with like a slow build for about a year and a half, and then they're like, all right, screw it. We want to win right now. Let's go. And that's just what they do. So we'll see what happens. Sean Deveney is our guest. There's another guy out there whose name has been floated around, and whether it was for the rest of this year or maybe next year, is LeBron James. And Sean, do you think this is it for him? Will he come back one more year and do the goodbye tour? And is there any chance at all he would want to finish his NBA career with a Cavalier uniform?
Yeah, it's interesting because LeBron, I don't think he'll do the farewell tour. That doesn't mean he's going to retire after this year. I just think whenever he retires, he's not going to tell us until after the season. I don't think he has much interest in doing the tour. But he's got to make a decision, and that is if you want to leave the Lakers, and I do think that situation has played itself out. I think that all sides are ready to move on. Then you've got to be able to sign as a free agent, and you're probably going to have to take a luxury tax minimum, luxury tax exception, which is about $6 million. So the question is, will LeBron play for $6 million? He is not the kind of guy who does that. He is not a hometown discount kind of guy. So I do wonder how that plays out. And there's been talk that maybe the best way to handle it would be to trade him now and get him. He's got a no trade clause, but if you're sending him to Cleveland, if you're sending him to New York, somewhere where he'd like to be, then maybe he'd waive that. Now that's very, very low percentage of that happening. But, there's really not a whole lot of other way for him to go to another team that he might like to go to unless he's willing to play for much less money than he's been willing to play for in the past. So that's to me is the really interesting dynamic there.
I'll tell you what I'd do right now. I would call Jose Ramirez. I'd say, Jose, you need to go talk to LeBron. Tell him about giving him a team-friendly discount like I did. Yeah. I love it here in Cleveland. Maybe that'll work out. I don't know. Sean Deveney is our guest. To LeBron for another one. You watched him play. You continue to watch him play. He defies everything as far as age, as far as everything about a basketball player. How many more, real good to pretty good years do you think he could do?
I don't see why he couldn't play another 4 or 5 years and be a productive player. If he were willing to, come off the bench, have a reduced role, play 20 to 22 minutes. Again, I don't know that he's got that in him. I don't know that, his competitive edge is going to really allow him to do that. I think about, I remember going to watch, when Michael Jordan came back with the Wizards, and he might have been okay if he would have, been a sixth man, but there was no way that guy was going to be a sixth man. It's Michael Jordan. So, I don't think LeBron would want to do that. I think if he were willing to change his game, then he could play, really another significant number of seasons. I don't think he really wants to do that. So, playing the style that he's playing, the way he's playing now, then yeah, I mean, I think he could at least play, another 2 years. I don't think that's out of the question. Rich Paul, actually, his agent brought up something interesting about him playing like Karl Malone, and I very much agree with that. If he were just to kind of stand 18 feet from the basket, set really mean picks, and then be a pick and pop player, that'd be a really good role for him. Again, I just don't know that he has that in his mentality.
Yeah, we talked about this on the show last week. I said I think LeBron could probably play another 2 to 3 years if he just turned into a bully and just stayed in the paint. And I'm with you. I don't think he would want to do that. But man, if I could get my 6'8" and a half guy, 200 and whatever pounds he is now, LeBron, just hang out in the paint, bully your way to the hoop from 8 to 12 feet away. I think he could make a living down there for another couple of years. But you're right. I don't think that's what he wants to do. Sean, the Cavaliers as a whole right now, they're 30-21. They're 7.5 behind the Pistons. We don't know what the roster is going to look like after 3:00 on Wednesday. Where are you sitting with the Cavs right now as far as a week or so before the All-Star break? And how far can this team go depending on who's on the roster?
I think even if you take with, where they are right now, I think that they're still a contender in the Eastern Conference. They played better these last couple of weeks. I think they're 8-2 in their last 10. And even when they weren't playing that well, they were never that far off. They were just a little bit off. But you could still see that this was a pretty good team. They had to get healthy, and that's happening. The whole thing with DeAndre Hunter, that was a real mystery as to why that wasn't working. I think he's a guy who wants to be a number 3, number 4 option, but with the injuries they had, they were asking him to be basically a number 2. He just wasn't able to do it. And so now that the roster is kind of straightening itself out a little bit, I think you're really seeing them play much better. I also think they've missed Ty Jerome and that aspect off the bench, and that's something that maybe Dennis Schroeder can bring for them. So. I think that the changes that they've made will work out for them. And I think that what we've seen, the way they played these last couple of weeks, that's indicative of a team to me that's ready to start making a run.
Looks like Ellis and Schroeder are going to meet up with the Cavaliers Wednesday in LA. I don't know if they'll play that night, but that's when they're going to kind of join the team. With those two guys, Sean, what would their roles be, at least early on?
I mean, Ellis is an interesting case because he wasn't playing that much in Sacramento. But he is the kind of role player that you want on a good team, and a role player that maybe doesn't have as much impact on a bad team, because he's not a volume shooter. He's not, a big time scorer, but he can go out and stop the other team's best perimeter player. And still knock down threes, still hit 40% of his threes. And that's exactly what you want if you're the Cavaliers, because at full strength, they don't need that position. And you think about that small forward position, it's been such a problem for them with Okoro and then going to Hunter and then the Hunter drop off this year. This is a guy who can kind of do everything that they want him to do. So I expect him to, step right in and really have that role right off, right from the jump. I don't see any reason why he can't really increase what he was doing in Sacramento right away. And of course, Schroeder, as I mentioned, he's not going to be quite what Ty Jerome was, but he'll be a lot better than what Lonzo has been. So, that's a role that they really need filled as well. So, we'll see how it all plays out with those guys. But, certainly I'd say that they filled 2 holes with 1 trade here.
Sean Deveney is our guest. Check him out. Athlon Sports also writes for heavy.com. Check him out on all your favorite social media platforms. Sean, who's the top dog in the East right now? Would you give that to New York, Detroit, Miami? Where do the Cavs fit? Who's the top dog for you right now?
Yeah, I think the Knicks still have the best roster. If you look top to bottom, I think that is the best roster in the Eastern Conference. I do think that there's just something missing in their chemistry. They've played better lately. They've started to play better defense. But the fact that they went through that stretch where they lost 9 out of 11 games, there's just something missing there. They're asking Karl Anthony Towns to play more defense, be more physical, throw some elbows, get some rebounds. It's not what he wants to do. Coaches time after time have asked him to do that, and pretty much every coach before this has failed to get him to do it. So, but they're asking him to do that, and it just seems like something's off with their chemistry. But I still think that is the best roster in the Eastern Conference. I think the Pistons have played very, very well, probably a little bit over their heads. So I'd still say, if I had to, pick the favorite, I'd still say the Knicks are the favorite. I think the Cavs are probably right below them, and then you've got Boston and Detroit. I think are right there after those two.
One more quickie before we go. I don't know how much you've gotten a chance to watch the NBA on NBC this year, whether it was the Sunday night debut or the Monday night games, or even a little bit on Peacock. But I think it looks pretty sweet from my vantage point. I wonder what your thoughts were on that, and the ratings you think, what kind of return they're going to get here down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're putting on a show, and that's really good. I think we probably would have liked to have seen a little more from Michael Jordan than what we got. But I mean, when I think of the NBA on NBC back in the '90s, and it was a show. I mean, it was something where you had to tune in to watch the pregame and the build up and Bob Costas and all that stuff, and they brought a lot of that back, and even the song. So I think they've done a pretty good job. Again, there's been some misses, but I think they've done a pretty good job in terms of bringing this thing back and trying to create some of the drama that I remember, growing up watching the NBA on NBC for sure.
Yeah, I think it looks really good. I think I've missed it now that it's been 20 plus years. I'm like, oh my God, Bob, I thought that was really good over the weekend. Yeah, John, I appreciate your time, man. Good to catch up with you. We'll keep you on speed dial if anything breaks here the next couple of days. Boy, if Giannis comes, you're going to be my first call, so get ready.
All right, sounds good, Sam.
You got it. There he goes. Sean Deveney, writer for Heavy.com, and of course you can check him out with Athlon Sports. Can you imagine Giannis in a Cavs uniform right now?